Welcome back to the show. Today we have Kerry Liu. He's the founder and CEO at Rubikloud. Kerry, welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back on the show. You did the radio version a while ago, and I'm really fascinated by the entire space that you guys are in. And so I thought, let's have you back on the TV version, and maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into a couple of things. But maybe before we get into all that stuff, let's get to know you a little bit better and start off with where you grew up.
Perfect. Yeah. So I was born in Shanghai, but I
Okay.
moved to Vancouver when I was about 2.5 years old. And I
Okay.
spent most of my life in Vancouver. 8 years ago, I moved to Toronto, and I've been in Toronto ever since. And now this is permanently home.
Very cool. So walk me through your career up until Rubikloud, and then how did you come up with Rubikloud, and what exactly is it?
Sure. So after university, I took a pretty traditional route, went to PricewaterhouseCoopers, spent about 4 years there in various roles from kind of audit to kind of consulting and advisory. The common thread I would say throughout PwC was I was in the tech practice. So I had the good
Okay.
fortune of working with quite a few senior partners there who were working on everything from 10-person startups all the way up to 10,000-person publicly traded technology and software companies. And I was able to see different vantage points from the inside. So as an auditor, as a consultant, as a M&A integration person. So I kind of caught the bug through that in learning about kind of just basically the startup world and the whole ecosystem around it. After PwC, I was thinking, do I go to business school and get an MBA, or do I actually join a startup, or do I start a company? And I had the opportunity to join a serial entrepreneur in Vancouver
Okay.
at a startup called Strange Loop Networks. It was deep tech. It was kind of content delivery networks. It was, kind of reverse proxy, kind of streaming technology to make basically the website load faster and the
Okay.
video load faster. So
Interesting.
very
Okay.
deep kind of back end technology.
Sure.
But our business was 100% focused on selling to e-commerce. Because obviously the faster that an e-commerce site loads, I mean, it's Black Friday today, which is kind
Yeah.
of funny.
Yeah.
And obviously, literally seconds equals millions of dollars
Sure.
in load time. So I became very close with a lot of the big e-commerce leaders around the world, from the platforms to the actual kind of e-commerce businesses themselves, whether they be part of a larger retailer like the Office Depots and Home Depots of the world, or whether they were standalone e-commerce companies. And Strange Loop eventually got acquired when we grew to about 50 or 60 people. And I
Wow.
founded Rubikloud pretty much right after that.
Okay. So what exactly is Rubikloud, and how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah. So if we just kind of take a look at what's happening in the retail world right now, you have a few big things happening. You've got on the one hand, you've got this kind of consumer-led expectation change, I call it. So
Okay.
us as the individual expecting on-demand shipping, on-demand pickup, personalized experiences, store experiences that are very modern, and we expect that across the retail spectrum, whether it's grocery just to kind of go get our day-to-day kind of kind of supplies, all the way to fashion, or to luxury fashion, or to kind of alternative subsectors like, say, like in like a sporting goods store or something like that. So consumer expectations are kind of completely changing. Retailers themselves are consolidating.
Okay.
They are getting acquired kind of geographically. They're getting acquired across different verticals. And the third piece is retail is becoming kind of in many ways actually growing. So even though the number of retailers is starting to shrink, you're seeing retail spending actually grow depending on the country: Canada, the US, UK, France, Germany, et cetera, kind of in that kind of 4 to 8% range per quarter per year in terms of growth. So those three trends are putting a lot of pressure on some of the biggest systems that retailers currently use. So
Sure.
Rubikloud focuses on automating those systems and getting better results from those systems. So specifically what I mean is the inventory kind of cycle, right? So the whole life cycle of inventory, from how much to order, what price to set it at, how much do you ship to your distribution center, how much do you ship to your store, how do you promote that inventory, do you keep it at regular price, do you promote it with other items together? So that whole life cycle of a product and inventory Today, that process is legacy tech, kind of
Sure.
massive on-premise systems that are not very flexible, and usually teams of consultants kind of permanently placed at a retailer with analytical capabilities to try to figure that out. Obviously, AI machine learning kind of it just absolutely crushes it in terms of the impact and accuracy and everything.
Sure.
More importantly, it becomes a software, right? So what was historically a very kind of consultative problem becomes a software problem. And then the other thing that we've helped with is we focus on that whole customer engagement experience. So we offer what's called a customer data platform,
Okay.
focused on kind of looking at how a customer or a cohort of customers evolves over that retailer's life, and then connecting that to the marketing activities that the retailer is doing to actually offer a customer a better experience, whether it be a better offer, a better incentive within that specific real-time channel. Like say you're buying, ordering groceries for delivery, offering something right then and there, or any other kind of services that retailers have at their disposal to give to an end customer.
Okay, interesting. The thing that I find really quite fascinating about the entire AI space right now is it kind of means a bunch of different things, or you ask 100 people, you're going to get kind of 100 different answers.
Yeah.
So how do you guys leverage AI, and what does it mean to you guys at Rubikloud?
Yeah, so we are obviously an AI business, but we
Sure.
don't talk to our clients like that, right?
Sure.
We don't go to a client. I have this saying where I kind of go, senior executives at retailers don't sit around a boardroom and go, I'm going to buy AI, right? So
Yeah.
the kind of the comparison here would be like, an individual sitting around their table with their family going, I'm going to buy food. Let's all buy food now. Who's coming to buy food with me, right? Like, well, there's always more context. There's always more specific problems. There's always more. So retailers are trying to solve fundamental problems like I'm describing earlier. And AI to us is just the enabler to that next generation of that solution.
Sure.
So for us, we're a software company to the retailer, but underneath the hood, there's kind of three very distinct layers of what we consider to be AI.
Okay.
The first one is the pure play research area that is still very, very important. So researching things like seasonality, researching things like the life cycle of a product, the life cycle of a kind of category, researching the individual ingredients within products that make certain products move, researching how customers respond to promotions, to marketing, and kind of evolve over time.
Okay.
So that is a fundamental area for us, applying a lot of the modern techniques like the deep learning techniques against that to learn over time and train against that data. The second part of AI for us, though, is the automation of that research, because we're still fundamentally a software as a service product. Our users, our customers, are business users. They're not going to open up a Jupyter notebook and run, machine learning ensemble techniques and trial and error those techniques and hopefully get to the result that they want.
Sure.
They're literally using a very modern UX to determine inventory plans for the entire quarter. And the system has to spin all of that machine learning up, all those ensembles in the background. So we have an entire automation layer for AI. And then the third piece for us on AI is just the application of AI on cleaning the data itself, which I would argue is actually the most important one out of those three.
Sure.
So cleaning the data, what I mean by that is as large volumes of data come in from a retailer, how do you actually make sure that that's accurate first and foremost? So getting to say true margin, true inventory, true sell-through, all those metrics. And then how do you categorize something within that retailer as it moves through that life cycle, right?
Okay.
So if you bought 1 million units of toothpaste 6 months out from Colgate, and then 3 months later they gave you a $20 million incentive to discount that toothpaste, a week before the actual incentive goes into the store, you decide to make it only an online incentive. Well, you have to capture that evolution in the data, because by the time it actually gets to a customer who bought that toothpaste online, then if you just look at that data point, all you see is an online promotion, but you don't recognize that it started 6 months ago on this massive bulk purchase. So just recording that data, understanding it, that's a perfect AI problem. When you have 500,000 SKUs and basically an infinite number of variations on how those SKUs evolve. We apply AI to the cleaning of that data so that it's fast. That's why we can process hundreds of terabytes of data from these big retailers, put them into the cloud in literally kind of in many cases weeks.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into that
Yeah.
because I think what you guys are doing, this is where it really gets quite fascinating is, so if I'm a company and I'm a retailer, how do you onboard me and get me into your platform? Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's actually not as complicated as you would say. So as most people think. So the phase one is we inject a lot of that data, right?
Okay.
You can choose to give us that data historically and test our entire system in basically a mock scenario
Okay.
where you give us kind of historical data and we take our product live against that historical data and we apply it to the historical truth in a blind way. And we basically prove to you that hey, so what I mean by that is like, say you gave us data right now, it's November, let's say November 23rd.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you gave us data for the last year up until, the end of September. You
Sure.
don't give us the actual November results, and we predict what was going to happen in November with inventory, with pricing, with promotions, with all those things that we talked about, and then we
Interesting.
compare it against the real results. So that one is kind of, it's a
Okay.
simulation, and there's nothing to risk. You're not actually using our inventory counts or our pricing or any of those things. But if you actually want to onboard the system, in full production, you give us that data one-off historically. You connect a regular data feed to our system. It's all a secure virtual private instance on any of the 3 cloud providers that you choose. So Google, AWS, Microsoft Azure, we're compliant with all of them.
Okay.
It's done in a very secure way. You get your own virtual instance. We can literally run it on your cloud or our cloud instance, doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And then we actually just go through a period of about a month or two where we train against your own data, where we're running basically everything historically against that data, against all of our machine learning techniques to get to a standard of kind of confidence that we can predict essentially the future of inventory, pricing, promotions, replenishment against your data. And then phase 3 is you go live. So the user here would be a category manager, a buyer, using our front end to plan promotions, to plan inventory kind of allocation, and to basically look at the kind of category that they're responsible for and input all of the kind of hard rules that they have to input in. And then the system will generate a forecast. The system will generate a promotional plan. The system will generate a promotional plan against a medium. So if you're using a flyer, we'll give you that flyer in HTML format. If you're using a store layout plan, we'll give you the store layout plan in the planogram format.
Interesting.
So the system will actually generate a workable product for that category manager. And then we don't even end it there. The category manager will then just at that point accept it. And then the actual product, whether it be a Excel file, a flyer file, a planogram file, an inventory allocation for the warehouse, will get actually sent off to your ERP. So we physically, the software will then connect to the ERP and send it into your Oracle, SAP, JDA, whatever kind of legacy. The good news here is that with retailers, there's usually 4 or 5 ERP systems that kind of rule them all. And we've pretty much integrated it. We have integrated into all of them at this point. So it's every bit as much software as it is kind of the machine learning itself. And then the user is essentially using this on a daily basis to plan all of their promotions, all of their pricing, all of their decisions, and run scenarios and then execute those scenarios.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So do you work with companies then to tell them, and maybe this is a simplified version, but if I need to be collecting a certain type of data that I'm not collecting, do you work with the companies to say, you know what, you really need to collect this type of data in this type of space that would really help in these scenarios? Do you guys do stuff like that? Or how does that kind of work?
We do. Retailers are actually pretty good at having all of the data that they need. They've done a very good job historically of collecting it. They haven't done a good job at all of using it to make business decisions.
Okay, I see.
Where we end up becoming really valuable in what you're just describing is where data doesn't exist, we can actually manufacture data with our AI.
Oh,
so what
interesting.
I mean by that is a good example, though the most common example here is say a retailer has never carried kind of plant-based beef before.
Okay.
Right. So that's a very hot topic right now. There's a
Sure.
lot of great plant-based proteins coming onto the market. Obviously, grocery is going to be a channel that they're going to look at distribution for. But, plant-based proteins, that's not lentils. That's not a lentil burger, right? That's not a tofu burger. So you don't actually know, it doesn't need to be frozen, for example, right? It can be just refrigerated. So as an example, how do you determine as the buyer of that product how much to initially carry, which regions to start it in? Do you discount it right out of the gate, or do you keep it at regular price as a premium item? Now, a lot of those things will get driven also by that burger company, but specifically you need to come up with some idea of a forecast.
Sure.
So our system will be able to actually generate at least a 50, 60% accurate forecast in that case by manufacturing that data, because we're categorizing so many different vectors about all of your SKUs that we will be able to use the lentil, the tofu, the regular burger, how people shop on premium products, how people shop on organic products, all of those variables, and make a prediction on which locations to start off with. Should you price it premium? Should you discount it? Should you bundle it in? Should you promote it in the flyer? All of those things. And we basically can manufacture that data out of the gate, and then use that manufactured data to make a prediction.
Okay. No, that's actually really quite fascinating, because I think it seems to me, and you can give me your thoughts on this, is sure, obviously, like, online shopping is a huge business, but it seems like we're very much kind of the next wave is going back into the physical store and modernizing that, because obviously if I order something online and I need it for dinner tonight and it's 4 o'clock, well, I got to stop at the store on the way home, right? Like, Amazon's not going to deliver it in an hour, maybe eventually, but currently they're not going to do that. So how do you see kind of the future of retail kind of playing out? Do you think there's going to be a lot more innovation in the actual physical stores and online, or what do you kind of think?
Yeah, I love that question. And let me answer that with three kind of vertical examples within retail. So the kind of immediate kind of high level answer is I see retailers becoming very specialized. So a grocer will be very different than a luxury fashion retailer versus a home goods retailer. It's always been the case, but it's going to be hyper specialized in the future. So I think there's three really good examples. One is, if we look at grocery, it's the most high frequency retail in the world. Literally every single week you need to buy groceries to live your life, right? So whether it doesn't, there's obviously a whole different variation about whether you go big grocer or small, whatever, either way you need to get groceries. So right now with the buy online, pick up in store, buy online, have a third party like Instacart deliver to you, buy online, have that retailer deliver to you directly because they've opted to not go for Instacart, or kind of buy online, pick up in store, and buy other goods while you're physically there additionally to what you have picked up in store. So suddenly that experience of online versus offline is very, very gray. What was that transaction? If I bought my groceries online and I picked it up in the store, then I walked in the store and I bought 10 more items and I go home, what was that? Was that an e-commerce transaction or was that an offline transaction, right? I think what matters though is that in grocery, omni-channel purchases are going to have to be seamless. And secondly, the store needs to become a fulfillment center in addition to being the retail outlet. So you're going to have to equip the store to have third-party shoppers on Instacart, your own staff, and a customer be able to fulfill from your store. If we take it to the other end of the spectrum, though, I'll actually just use two examples, and we look at, say, luxury fashion, right? Well, luxury fashion, the store itself is being turned into the showroom. It doesn't need to fulfill anything. It's where you're going to go talk to the store associate who will hopefully know your history with that brand. It's where you're going to, depending on the store, get access to different goods. If you're in the, kind of the Regent Park location of Chanel, for example, you're going to get a very different access to what products are available to try and experience versus if you're in, the outlet of a Chanel somewhere outside of the city. So the store becomes the experience, and you just need to transact at that store level, and they'll probably just deliver it to your house. whenever that's available. So those two extremes, where the store becomes both the showroom on the one end and basically the warehouse on the other, to me is where retail is going. And then every other vertical kind of lives somewhere in the middle of that paradigm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I still think there's, and I don't know if we're ever really going to get away. There's just certain things that you need, I think, to try in person, right?
Yep.
Like I know there's like a mattress companies and stuff like that, but that will come to your door and you can try it for a few days. But I still think a lot of people want to actually go lay on 50 mattresses sometime. Maybe they don't, maybe, they do, but like me, I want to try a mattress, right? Maybe other people just will order it and say, well, whatever, this is good enough. But I think there's certain things that people want to actually do that. So how do you kind of see that? Do you think there's going to be a lot more, like you could try something for weeks, we'll ship it to you, and then we'll come get it if you don't like it kind of thing? Or how do you kind of see that playing out?
I'm not sure, but I do think that the most dangerous thing that people do with talking about retailers, and this is why I loved our conversations, is trying to generalize it, right? Like,
Okay,
if you
fair
look at
enough.
the numbers, there's $8 trillion of spending in North America and Western Europe. It's like the most significant part of the GDP in most developed countries, retail spending at least, and so many infinite variations of how people like to shop. I think what's safe to assume is that there's going to be more and more innovation on all verticals, on all channels for many years to come. But what I see happening and what we want to be at Rubikloud is really just the operating brain behind all of that, right? Like we're not here to predict what verticals are going to really evolve the fastest. Well, we're ultimately saying that no matter what happens here, machine learning is going to be kind of the beating heart of that. So we're putting research into different verticals, different geographies, different channels, different emerging kind of business models, like the kind of mattress model where you buy it and it ships to your home. You can try it and ship it back for free, and they take care of all that shipping. So, and then there are certain verticals too where, like the mattress is a good example of one where I would argue that the Endies and the Caspers of the world have taken advantage, not necessarily of the kind of the inability for old mattress companies to allow you to ship to your home. You see Endy and Casper opening up physical stores as well, so that you can try future variations, right? The big reason why they didn't need a store to begin with is because they had one SKU. They had one variation of a mattress in 3 sizes. But now, as they have pillows and other types of mattresses and other types of products, they want the store experience. But what they really took advantage was the terribly, stupidly outrageous margins at mattress companies, right? Like we all have that experience where you walk into a mattress company. Yeah, I want to try everything on, but I also don't want that salesperson to make $400 on selling me a mattress, right? Like that should be a commodity by now. I don't want a pushy salesperson, in like an oversized suit telling me they can give me a great deal on a mattress. That's still what happens right now. And that's what I think Endy and Casper took advantage of, is that customer experience.
Right.
And I bet you if you went into a Casper store, the customer experience is very, very different. It probably, is not a commission-based experience. The store is probably very digitally savvy. They're probably allowing you to kind of ship to your home for free, all those things that you're getting used to now. But they fundamentally found this crack in the market, and they just exposed it and exposed it. And they've obviously taken a huge dent out of these mattress companies' market share.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I guess the thing is too, what you guys are doing at Rubikloud is basically giving these retailers the data to make educated, basically business decisions. Is that, I get that's a very simplified version of what you guys do, but is that fair to say?
Yeah, we're building products. We're building products on top of a very sophisticated data platform that is getting smarter and smarter every single quarter around retail behavior, whether it's store behavior, whether it's customer behavior, whether it's demographic behavior, whether it's SKU-like behavior within a particular SKU or category. And we're also a company where the majority of the people here have deep retail experience, whether it's building software for retailers, or not pretty much every product manager at Rubikloud has been a a profit and loss operator at a retailer before, right? Our CTO has run kind of a $1 billion P&L at a $25 billion retailer. Our heads of product have been kind of category leaders. They've launched Target Canada. So we're, it's going to be cheesy, but we're a company where retail is in our blood, and we're in many cases ex-retailers building the most advanced possible machine learning software, but for retailers. Gotcha. And we've actually intentionally ignored other verticals, right? We've had insurance companies come to us and say, hey, we'd love to work with you, and telcos, and we're just going to go, we're going to be, you know, very, very, very deep. We're not going to be that horizontal AI business. Got you.
No, that makes a lot of sense, but we're out of time. So let's close with mentioning where people can get more information about you guys and any other links you want to mention.
Yeah, for sure. So Rubikloud.ai is obviously the website. I would say a lot of our, if you want to know what it's like to kind of work at Rubikloud, our Instagram is great. If you want to understand a lot of the kind of see like the most real-time stuff that's being published or where we're at, Twitter is great, obviously at Rubikloud on both. And then the website is more comprehensive on the products and the case studies and things like that. So.
Perfect, man. Well, I really appreciate you again taking time out of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you, and have a good rest of your day, man.
Awesome. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Thanks, you too.